All right, let's get into this.
I'm 100% positive that Donald Trump and tariffs will not affect you or your bank account this year, and here's the reason why.
Let me stop you already. Given the fact that I have a trucking company that hauls solely bulk agricultural exports that are destined to Southeast Asia, predominantly China, and China is already talking about not buying bulk agricultural commodities from the United States of America in retaliation for the tariffs that are being imposed on China, yeah, it's 100% going to affect my bank account. But by all means, tell me more about my finances that you seem to know.
Donald Trump understands supply and demand.
Oh, Donald Trump understands supply and demand, is what you said? Donald Trump doesn't even know how to say the word origins. Donald Trump doesn't understand that we didn't have airports during the Revolutionary War. Donald Trump couldn't figure out how to sell vodka, steak, and ice to Americans. But go on.
Regardless of what any Democrat has told you, tariffs will not increase the price of things. Supply and demand determines the price.
You're partially correct. Supply and demand does determine price of goods and services. However, additionally to that, something else that goes into the factor of the price of those goods is what it costs to manufacture, package, market, and ship those goods. So, for example, I keep four of these little semis on my desk to represent each one of the four trucks that we have in our fleet. Where's this thing from? Made in China, right there. Okay, made in China. Let's just use a round number, just a number that's easy to understand. Let's say you import these things from China to sell in the American market. Okay, and everyone, and just once again, we're just picking numbers. Every one of these things that you import from China is $2, and you pay 10% tax. Now Donald Trump comes along and says, we're going to put an additional tariff on you bringing this into the country. We're going to up it by 10%, 15%, 20%. During the campaign, he was talking about 60 to 100%. But let's just use 10%. You are right now paying $2 to get this into the country, plus a 10% tax on that. And then Trump adds a 10% tax on it. So you're paying an additional 10%. Instead of paying a 10% tax on your $2 purchase, you're paying a 20% tax on your $2 import. Are you eating the additional 10%? Or are you passing that along to your customer? In some instances, you will eat it, right? In some areas, you will eat it with higher expenses for labor. In some instances, when you're having to do some equipment purchases and things of that nature, depending on the business that you're in. But you're importing these things for $2 a piece. You're paying a 10% tax. Now you're paying a 10%, import tax. Now you're paying a 20% import tax because an additional 10% has been put on top of it. You're going to take that additional 10% cost to you and you're going to pass it on to the customer, which means this is going to be more expensive. That's the bottom line to tariffs, right? This is going to be more expensive. Unless you're telling me that as the importer, who's paying $2 a truck to get it into the country and a 10% tax, that when you get hit with the additional 10% tariff, you're just going to eat that 10% tariff. It's going to cut into your profit. That's the only way this doesn't become more expensive. And that's just one example. Shirts and hats and cell phones and cell phone cases and pens and fucking back scratchers and power chargers and you name it. All of the shit that we import. Unless all of the people who are importing those goods are willing to eat the additional tariff that Donald Trump just put onto those goods, they're going to pass it on to the consumer, which means it will 100% cost more money to buy those goods. What else?
Will not increase the price of things. Supply and demand determines the price. So Donald Trump, for example, is going to increase the supply of oil, for example. Okay, he's going to drill more in America.
Pause. We're already drilling for more oil than any nation in the history of the planet. Go on.
Oil, for example. Okay, he's going to drill more in America. What's that going to do? It's going to increase the supply of oil, and anything that's related to oil, like gasoline, the price of that's going to go down. There might be some things in America that go up in price. Take eggs, for example. I don't know why the Democrats are so obsessed with eggs right now, as if they're not responsible for egg prices. Regardless.
Pause. Are you shitting me? So Democrats are responsible for egg prices, even though Democrats are not in control of the White House, the House, the Senate, and Democrats don't own every egg producing farm in the United States of America, but somehow they're responsible for egg prices. And you want to know why Democrats keep talking about eggs after Donald Trump ran on a platform of bringing your groceries down, and all you fucking people kept talking about was how expensive eggs were. Is this a parody account? I've done a dive into the account, and it doesn't seem like it's a parody account, but does anybody know is it a parody account? Because it feels like an episode of Punk'd at this point.
Obsessed with eggs right now, as if they're not responsible for egg prices. Regardless, there's going to be some things that go up in price, but you're going to make up the difference at the gas pump. Not just the gas pump. You're going to make up the difference with anything that's related to oil, anything that's related to energy, which is pretty much almost 50% of your lifestyle. So thank you, Donald Trump, for reducing 15 to 50% of my expenses and putting more money in my pocket.
What? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? The only thing that is left to do at this point in time is for every country that Donald Trump is slapping tariffs on to retaliate to the nth degree. Canada, I know that I keep hearing from people saying, well, Canada is just too nice to just cut off the fucking energy exports. Cut them off. Cut them off. Put a tariff of your own on American exports. Same with you, Mexico. Same with you, China. Put a tariff of your own on anything that American companies export to those nations. If you're Canada, cut the fucking power as best as you possibly can. Cut it the fuck off. Tom, then they're just going to blame Canada for being assholes. They're never going to see that it's Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if they see it or not. At the end of the fucking day, the only way to get through to these fucking people and the people around them is to make them feel the pain of his shit policies. I like what Canada's doing, right? They're targeting products right now. They're doing retaliatory tariffs on products from red states specifically. Tariff the fuck out of it. Put 1,000% tariff on orange juice. Squeeze the fuck out of the state of Florida. Bourbon, whiskey coming out of Tennessee, Kentucky, tariff the living dog shit out of it. Squeeze these motherfuckers to the point of squealing. And when they go, what the fuck, man? How are we supposed to live like this? All we got to do is sit back and go, what are you talking about? You guys are in control. Your people are in control of all of it. At a minimum, the liberals who didn't want to vote the last time around and the moderates who are sitting there going, I don't know which side of the fence I'm on, they will find a side of the fence real fucking quick when the lights go out.